This is the Queen's Park Oval in Trinidad, and in late March 1990, it was the setting for one of the most controversial and dramatic test matches this famous old ground can ever have seen. It was a match which saw dramatic collapses.
Got him! He's gone!
We got quite excited.
Vicious, bone-breaking bowling.
He's taken Gooch on the hand.
Gucci in absolute agony.
Tempers boiling over.
And straight away the bouncer whizzing over the top of that white crash helmet.
As long as I'm in charge of the team, he's going to get plenty of them.
And accusations of cynical time wasting.
What a carry on, my goodness.
All of it watched by an enthralled audience in the UK.
We were in a battle with a rival satellite company.
6 months earlier, I'm playing Durham against York. Now there I am playing against Viv Richards.
Devon Malcolm has struck a mighty blow for England.
That's the second time Mosley has taken Gooch on the hand.
Huge appeal. Viv Richards has given him. The umpire wasn't going to give that.
3 weeks earlier, England had stunned the cricketing world by beating the mighty West Indies by 9 wickets in the first Test match in Jamaica, sending shockwaves right around the Caribbean.
Yes, he's misfielded. And England won. Fantastic.
We deserve to be where we are because we've played some really good cricket. So it just showed what a closely knit group of excited and ambitious young people can achieve, really.
Nobody expected the West Indies to lose. People knew there was going to be a battle, yes, but they didn't expect a loss. And that would have been a big shock.
The players weren't the only ones celebrating. The fledgling Sky TV had taken an enormous gamble by buying the rights to televise the series live back to the UK, something which had never been done before. With that Larkin's off drive, though, the gamble had paid off.
The gamble of putting it on, having an England team that was developing its own personality, developing its own stars, and developing its own style, and that first test changed everything.
There's a great piece by Tim Rice on the back page of the Times in February 1990 who says something like, "I've seen the future of sport and it's a dish."
It was all new. I mean, it was new to me. One just didn't know what was coming up. All I knew was that we were going to get an exciting test series, ball by ball, live.
Back in London, the Sky publicity department, never one to miss an opportunity for the big sell, immediately started to ramp up the second test in Guyana, only to be thwarted by the weather. After a couple of one-day internationals, which the West Indies won, the test match never saw a ball bowled as heavy rain every night of the game left the border ground underwater.
I remember going to the ground one day with Tony Kozia and down to the border and just looking on the outfield, and I saw a fish.
We were never going to play.
Despite all the unexpected downtime, one of England's new faces still managed to pick up an injury.
We'd have a bit of cricket practice, just us youngsters used to go down because we were probably getting bored or annoying other people. So we used to go on the tennis court, have a bit of cricket and then a bit of tennis.
I was looking out the window and Richie Richardson was playing Viv Richards at tennis. I thought, I'll have a bit of this, I'll go and watch that. And then Stewie came down. I said, Stewie, come on, let's show him how to do it. We'll go and play some tennis as well. And the courts were a little bit slippy and Viv and Richie Richardson just sort of looked at us, walked off.
Nass, thinking he was John McEnroe, came unstuck. I played a nice little drop shot. He thought he could get to the net. I went sliding in to hit a ball over and I couldn't stop. So I slid over the net and just stuck my hand out. I've still got the scar there now. And I went, oh, that's a bit sore. And then it showed that, unfortunately, he'd fractured his wrist.
The weather did relent eventually, allowing the two teams to squeeze in another one-dayer to keep the fans happy, which in turn allowed Sky, and in particular Tony Greig, to try and do things a bit differently.
It's actually a pretty good view from up here. I've got a few guys up here with me. I've been watching the cricket from this particular tree for years, and it looks pretty good. I'm looking almost down the line. Ricky, how long have you been watching cricket from up here for?
Every test match since small boy.
Beautiful, lovely shade. How do you get a drink though? What happens then?
Well, when I'm ready for a drink, I calm down.
Climb down and go and get yourself a rum or something. You've got to be a bit careful you don't drink too much, otherwise you might fall out of the tree.
I can't remember whose idea it was to get Greggy to go up a tree, but all I remember was that when somebody did suggest it, he instantly said, yes, great idea, because that was Greggy. He was up for anything.
Well, that's the situation from up here. Lovely view from over the top of the size screen. It's back to Tony Cozier in the commentary box.
It was typical of Sky's determination to give the British public something different from the rather reserved style of the BBC.
I don't know how long cricket's been played in Guyana, for example, but TWI, in conjunction with Sky, have actually brought pictures from Guyana into the lounge room in England, and that's got to be good for cricket. I mean, where have you guys been?
Well, I've been watching Sky, actually, I'll tell you that, but and I've enjoyed it in some ways, but I think it was slightly overdue.
It really was a continuation of the style that I'd introduced 12 years before on Channel 9 with World Series cricket.
We always wanted to do it differently to the way the BBC had done it. Obviously, with the huge advantage is that we're in the West Indies where it's gloriously sunny, there's a beach down the road, and the matches are being played in English time from about 3 o'clock in the afternoon till 11 o'clock at night. It's prime time television.
By March the 23rd, though, Greg was down from his tree and everyone had their serious game faces on as Gooch won what seemed to be an important toss.
Congrats. We will field, Desmond.
It wasn't going to be a good pitch. It was going to be a bit of a minefield. You get a feel for a pitch, and it didn't look like it was going to be a great pitch.
Caught him! That's why Stewart's there.
Oh, that's one ball, he's gone, he's out, caught behind. That's the end of Richie Richardson. A great wicket for England.
In no time at all, the West Indies were in serious trouble as they slumped to 29 for 5.
He's leg before, cutting away. That's the 5th wicket. What a collapse.
Well, we got quite excited. I mean, 29 for 5. You know, we were looking at sort of bowling them out for 60, 70.
In the West Indies dressing room, with Viv Richards missing the game, Desmond Haynes was in charge. The atmosphere was fraught.
I don't think they were a happy camp then either. I think there was quite a bit going on behind the scenes because Viv wasn't well, but there was moanings and there seemed to be sort of quite a bit of disharmony around them at the moment in time.
Yes, I would be a bit concerned. And who want to lose the first test match? You know, me as captain, you know, who want to do that?
Any team at 27 for 5 before lunch, you know, what do you do? What do you say?
So the new batsman is Gus Logie, and what a crisis for him here now.
Well, somehow the West Indies managed to recover thanks mainly to a brilliant innings from local boy Gus Logie.
Oh, that's a beautiful shot. Magnificently cut away there by Logie. Into the fence it goes.
Undervalued. There were 2 Trinidadians that played with West Indies in that era, Gus Logie and Larry Gomes. Both of them did yeoman service to the West Indies in those days.
Well, he's pulled that into the gap and down to the boundary. Lovely shot.
And Gus Logie's innings must have been a fantastic innings to come in at that stage and to get those runs on under those conditions.
He's got him, oh, he's dropped him. What a miss that was.
Yeah, I remember it well because I dropped him when he was about 20 or 30, diving to my right-hand side. So that's probably, I think it's the only drop catch in my test career that actually badly affected a test match.
And England have put one down. That was a vital opportunity.
That moment sticks in my head, and we did have him on the rack and we let him get away.
Got that one away beautifully for 4. Magnificent cut shot. Into the fence it goes. That was a magnificent shot. It's brought up his half century as well.
He came to the party on his home ground, so it's conditions that he was actually quite familiar with. Got us to a place of relative safety.
He's got that away, and he's got him. He's out, caught the gully. Magnificently taken on 98.
Logie was eventually last out, too short of his 100, with the West Indies on 199. But as Wisden reports, Gooch and Larkins put it in perspective by batting through the first 53 overs of England's reply.
He's got that one away nicely down towards the boundary. Into the fence it goes. Lovely shot from Larkins.
Just keep batting. As long as any sort of lead, we were going to be in with a great chance.
That's a good shot. Straight into the gap at mid-on.
Between them, Gooch and Larkins put on 112 for the first wicket, and later, at 195 for 2, England seemed set to bat the West Indies out of the game. But then...
Oh, what a beautiful ball. Big appeal. He's giving out. He's got it. magnificent delivery, that one from Ian Bishop, and Gooch's innings has come to an end.
It was the start of a collapse and another missed opportunity.
Oh, and it's out. He's got it. First ball is gone. The ball hit the glove, went straight up in the air. Bailey on his way. First ball. This is Bishop. Oh, and that's it. He's got him out. It's hit him, and the stumps have gone down. Lamb is out. Lamb's leg stump is lying on the ground. And England all of a sudden finding things very tough indeed.
We all should have gone on and got more runs and got a bigger target.
288 all out meant England's lead was just 89, nowhere near what it might have been. And when Greenwich and Haynes knocked that off with apparent ease, England's chances of going 2-0 up in the series looked to be ebbing away.
Fine shot by Haynes. Another boundary.
Once again, the wheel of fortune turned.
Well, but he's got him. He's out. He's got the gully. There's a good delivery from Malcolm. Oh, he's got him. He's got to be out. Yes, LBW. Good night, Charlie. He's on his way. Oh, and that's out too. Surely he's bowled him. He's gone. It's kept low. The stumps are down. Well, could this test match be over today? What an unbelievable performance.
I think Devon did shake them up. He was quick, and he was raw.
I was pretty strong, fit, could bowl, from the first ball of the morning to probably the last ball. The close-up player could still keep the pace.
He's caught him, a cut and taken it for a slip. Malcolm gets his 4th wicket.
Look, all I need is some just positive vibes, and I'm a serious part of the team, and I actually thought, okay, this proved my point, I can bowl.
Haynes and Greenwich, one of the best opening partnerships that the game's ever seen. And seeing them sort of apprehensive by one of our bowlers running in and making them think about things other than scoring runs, it was nice that, because that's all the England batsmen worried about.
In the air, got him, well taken, Lemmy. Good catch, magnificent catch, just outside off stump.
Not only did he bowl quick, when he got it right, he swung it out to the right-hander, and he had some magic moments.
And that is England's hero, Devon Malcolm.
Listen, I love the West Indies jumping around because they don't normally jump around. We had someone with a bit of pace, so it was great.
Oh, that looks straight, and that is out, and that's the end of the West Indies innings.
Malcolm finished with figures of 6 for 77, his first 5-wicket haul in an innings at Test level. And everyone who had scoffed, rather, when he'd made his debut in the previous summer's Ashes and taken 1 for 166, were now eating their words.
And the total is 239, which means that England now have 151 runs to win this Test match and go 2 up in the series.
It wasn't for granted we were going to get it, but we were all confident enough that we would get the runs.
We knew the wicket was deteriorating badly, and we knew that if they bowled a length, it would be hard work. For the rest is history.
Oh, and straight away a nasty delivery there. Gooch surprised by that one. It hit him on the glove. It really did rear up. Almost a loosener by Ezra Mosley.
It was just a length ball and just took off and hit me here. Now, in a funny sort of way, on your fingers when you're batting, if there's pain, that's not the worst thing. When it goes numb, that's when you know you're in trouble. Okay? When you can't feel anything. Okay? So it went numb, thought nothing of it. Next over, hit me exactly in the same spot.
And just when he moves out of man, he's taken Gooch on the hand. That's the second time Mosley has taken Gooch on the hand, on that left hand.
He was struggling horribly, and he knew, he knew the second time it was serious.
I was pretty close to the wicket, so I heard the knock, and it sounded as though that something was broken, It just didn't sound right when he got hit on his hand.
And that's a nasty blow. Summoning the assistants from the dressing room.
And that's when Laurie Brown came on the field. He took the glove off and he's got hold of my hand like this, and he says, I think that's dislocated. Okay? And he starts to pull my finger. He starts to pull it, and that's the picture. And I won't on camera say what I said. I don't think so, Laurie.
Graham Gooch does not make a song and dance over pain. I played with Graham at Essex, Graham could get peppered by whoever and he wouldn't make any kind of song and dance. And there's that iconic photo of Laurie Brown going like that to Gucci on his hand, and Gucci in absolute agony. And when you see that, you know Graham Gooch has done something serious.
And
he's going off.
Bad sight.
Yes, he's going off. Well, that really is a blow, literal and figurative.
Well, then I had to go off, and then, well, that changed everything.
With Gooch retired hurt, Alex Stewart was joined by Alan Lamb, and by lunch, England was 73-1, and it was very obvious that the West Indies, and in particular Desmond Haynes, captaining in the absence of Viv Richards, was starting to feel the pressure.
Luckily, he's got a touch onto it. Well, Alex Stewart is being upset by something out there.
There was a lot of verbal. They gave Alec a lot of verbal. And I had to come down and just tell Alec to relax. And I started climbing into Desmond. You know, I said, if you want to give anyone any verbal, you speak to me.
This is Mosley, 1 ball to go this over. And straight away the bouncer whizzing over the top of that white crash helmet.
It was never anything that was personal. I just told him that, you know, as far as I'm concerned, he can't handle the short ball. And so long as I'm in charge of the team, he's going to get plenty of them. You know, I made that very clear to him.
He was expressing his thoughts on what should be happening, how I should be playing or why I shouldn't be playing. And I say, I listen, you know, you have to remember this is just my second test match and I'm there. He's a great, you know, I've always looked up to and still do.
Haynes was spoken to by Lamb, and then Haynes was quoted afterwards as saying that he'll continue to allow his players to talk to the batsman as long as he lives.
I always believe that a sledge should be something that you can have a drink with someone at the end of the game. And even though I know that a lot of people look at it from the way there was nothing offensive, really, it was just a matter of gamesmanship, you know, letting him know that we are in a tight situation here. And if you come around here thinking that you're going to come on the front foot and we are going to bowl some short pitch deals at you, because really and truly you can't handle it.
The barrage of short stuff, though, had to wait, because just as the players left the field, it started to rain.
Port of Spain, Queen's Park, you could see over the hills, you could actually see the rain coming. Well, it rained for about, I'm guessing, 4 hours. And that made all the difference.
There seemed to just be this black cloud over the ground. And over there, you could see it was as bright as a daisy.
Eventually, after 4 hours had been lost, it stopped, and the umpires decided it was fit enough to play. There were 30 overs left, and England needed 78 to go 2 up in the series. So, was it fit to play?
Absolutely. Absolutely fit. Well, the answer, as I sit here now, is yes, it was, yeah.
I know it wasn't fit for play. You know, when Ian Bishop ran and tried to bowl, you know, you were hearing slosh, 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 slosh. And I think that we only got put on the pressure to play is because it was the first time that we have actually been televising cricket in the Caribbean.
Despite their protests, the West Indies were ordered out into the middle and the umpires called play. What followed was still being talked about when Brian Lara gave the MCC's Spirit of Cricket lecture over 25 years later.
This is maybe the most embarrassing moment for me as a young West Indian, watching a West Indies team, time wasting, playing the game in the way that it should never ever be played.
He's having a few problems on the way in there. It's quite damp. Walsh carrying on a little bit about that area.
Can't stand up here. Want sawdust. So then they said they want sawdust. No sawdust to be found. Took about what seemed to be about 10 minutes to even find any sawdust.
So there's sawdust out in the centre now. Pretty solid sawdust. They've obviously got a lot of bags of it out the back there, and that area is pretty wet indeed.
So they wasted time. Ian Bishop marked his run-up out about 4 times.
The delay at the moment is because of the little guy who's getting rid of that wheelbarrow full of, what was full of sawdust. It's now empty.
Then he started a bowl, and 3 times he just went, no, it's too wet, can't bowl.
You can see the water actually splashing there. He's saying he can't bowl.
They were just time wasting, you know, absolutely time wasting.
What a carry on, my goodness. Do you think you'd be carrying on like that if England wanted 30 runs to win and there were last 2 tail enders at the wicket? He'd be racing in and bowling at about 85 miles an hour.
we delayed the game. The tactics were there to delay the game as much as we could, as much as we'd be allowed to do it without breaking the law.
Plenty of sawdust there. 22 minutes have gone past now, and they've bowled 1.5 overs. That's enough to drive Jeff Boycott mad.
You know, it got ridiculous. I mean, 6 or 7 overs an hour. I mean, he just slowed everything down, which basically was cheating.
I think Gooch is getting a little bit impatient about this carry on as well.
You're obviously trying to play within the rules, kill as much time as possible. It's not the first time it's been done, and it's not the last time it's been done.
As you look back now, was that the worst you've ever seen an opposition perform on the field as far as, well, I mean, you've used the word, cheating?
Well, they didn't play by the rules, and the umpires allowed them to get away with it.
There comes a time when the umpires have got to speak to the fielding side, whether it's England or West Indies, and say, look, we're playing cricket here. I know it's a bit wet. Now get a move on, get the sawdust down, and let's get on with the game of cricket.
Ultimately, the end justified the means.
Well, you can put it and you can word it how you like, but all I said to you is that I played within the rules. I didn't do anything that Gooch, after speaking to me, wouldn't have done, because he was captain in England. So I played the game within the rules.
But whatever the legitimacy of the tactics, they worked, as with the light fading, the runs just wouldn't come quick enough.
It's the end of the over, and once again the umpires are going to offer the light to the batsman.
The light was getting pretty poor. I mean, you could hardly see Capes the other end, let alone some guy bowling at 19 miles an hour. It was getting really difficult.
I was running gloves out, and Gucci and Mickey's message was, I remember the last one, they said, it really is up to you. Can you see the ball? If you can stay out, you stay out, please.
He's saying come in. They want to come in, it seems to me. I think Capel's saying, I don't know what you're on about, Captain. I really don't understand.
Then Mickey Stewart or Graham Gooch, they're both standing up. One of them is going, stay out there, and the other one's going, come in. Like, at exactly the same time. Of course, all I can see is arms waving around. You can't tell any communication from them, because you can't see it. It was too dark.
There seems to be a great mix-up out there at the moment. I don't really understand what's going on.
I was keen to go on. I was keen to just keep going. But obviously we were 1-0 up in the series, so we didn't want to risk everything.
If it was light, I'd say, no problem. I said, we'll do it. But I said, it is pretty difficult to see now. So between us, we talked it through, and he said, come on, we'll have to go.
I wanted to keep going, but I said, fine, then we go off. But if he wanted to stay, I would have been happy to stay.
It looks to me as if Capel's coming in. That's the end of the day's play. So the match has ended in a draw, 120 for 5.
Yeah, it was like a defeat, because we thought we were going to win it, and a quite deflating dressing room.
There was a lot of anger with the time wasting on our balcony, that's for sure.
Looking forward to the next Test match now.
Well, I don't think I'll be playing, but I'll be there supporting the lads anyway.
There's a great spirit at the side.
OK, cheers, thanks, Tom.
Right, well, thanks for going along and having a talk to us. Well, the news here is that Graham Gooch, that he had a broken hand. He's just confirmed that. He probably will not, in fact, he almost certainly will not be playing in the next Test match. And at the end of the day, he brought the players off the ground because it simply was too dark.
Not winning at Trinidad and Graham being injured, I think that was quite a tough thing to take. Mentally, that was difficult.
If that rain hadn't come, it would have been tough on that pitch at the end, but it was eminently winnable.
Bayesians are charging onto the ground.
It was just such an atmosphere.
This was a very controversial decision.
It had hit something.
No, this just isn't right.
What a contest we've got here.
Just said, showtime.